Hello, everyone. Just wanted to pop in here and my friend Caren Cooper and I, Kelly Myszkowski, have been chatting about the holidays. Holidays are coming up. It's a very interesting time of the year with so many mixed experiences and mixed blessings and opportunities. And I know for myself, maybe you relate to this, where I feel the shift in myself in the year. I feel that drive to kind of go within and feel nurtured and comforted by the season. And it's natural for us to kind of withdraw, hibernate, almost as if returning to the womb in essence, and prepare for another cycle that begins with the new year. But it's also a time when I find that I'm finally getting together with people after perhaps saying, all year long, we got to get together, we got to do dinners more often, or what have you. And yet we never make the time to do that. So then when the holiday comes and we're actually going to get together, there's a little more pressure, perhaps, especially because of so much going on at one time. There's multiple commitments to try to balance and expectations. And we've talked a little bit about this in previous videos, being clear on what your expectations are and what your vision is for the holiday season, what your values are, what's important to you. And as we were chatting before we got started here, we both were kind of sharing our experiences and how things have evolved over the years and how we've handled some of this. And as transformational coaches, we'd like to share a little bit with you, both in terms of conversation between Caren and I, and then some tips that maybe you'll find helpful. And I think for me, as I was saying, how many times are we getting together because of a date on the calendar? And then there's tradition and there's kind of a sense of obligation because that's what you do, when maybe I don't really feel like it or my energy's not in it. So what do you do with that? Because I know for myself, once we're outside of a certain window, it feels very different. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like the holiday season anymore. So I still want to pack everything in while that energy's there, but I also want to honor my own needs. And I think for me, it's about being very aware of what my values are, what's important to me, what I have the energy and available to commit to, having the right mindset going into it, the right expectations are part of that, or maybe not expecting anything, maybe being open and expecting things to just flow naturally and go well. And then also, it's the time of the year when I take a good deal of time away from commitments and business activity so that I can re-energize myself and go within as I need to and stay healthy and happy. And when I'm healthy and happy, then those around me are going to notice it and they're going to respond differently to my energy. And we're going to have a better interaction than if I'm not feeling so great. So it goes back to some of what we've shared in the other videos about breathing techniques and taking a pause and step back when you're starting to feel triggered, when someone's starting to get under your skin, and being aware of how your body's responding. How it responds is no coincidence. Certain areas are triggered based on the function of those areas, which is something I get into in more depth with my clients to help them decode what beliefs and programs are running in their life that are actually limiting them. And then taking care of yourself in the moment, just taking a breath can reset your system into a calmer state. It can shift the energy in the room, noticing what you're feeling. And you may have to table this for another time when you can revisit what was going on there for me. What was I thinking? What belief was I holding? What expectation was I holding? And part of what also happens in these situations is that we get caught in a rhythm or habit of people pleasing, trying to make everyone happy. And we can't always do that either. So that's a very common program. We're setting poor boundaries and not stating what our own needs are is something else that also happens. And being sure to get plenty of rest and stay hydrated and plan some time. Put it in your calendar for you to just sit and be with yourself, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, whether it's home or someplace where you can really escape and rejuvenate that doesn't cause you more headaches trying to get there. Those are some of my thoughts. And Karen, I'd love for you to share what your thoughts are and what you'd like to add to that, because I know we had a really good conversation before we hit record.
I have many thoughts about this type of season. But here's what I'm going to start with saying. This season can bring a lot of, because think about it. It's Thanksgiving to Christmas time, and in between, it's holiday parties. It's, people either with your company that you work for, or people that or whatever, Friendsgivings, or assorted different things are going on. And where do you go? Who do you see? What's going on? Like, so it could become like very, very overwhelming. And to Kelly's point about people pleasing, but I haven't seen them in a really long time, but should we see them? I don't know what we should, you know what I'm saying? So it really lends to the conversation of in your head about the guilt about not having seen someone or things like that. And like to Kelly's point, there's limiting beliefs that surround it and stuff like that, which I also dive deeper in my program as well. But I'd also want to just say, you're under absolutely no obligation. I'm a recovering people pleaser, codependent control freak. So I speak to this as a recovering people pleaser. So I want to give you an actual personal example of this. Okay. So last year, so I'm my husband and I are no longer staying married, and last year was the first holiday separated, and so my minor child went with him to his family, which is what we always did. And I went and had dinner with my mom, who's my only surviving parent, last year for Thanksgiving. So that's what we did last year for Thanksgiving. Okay, because that's what I felt I had to do, and it was fine for that moment. This year, however, in doing all the work that I've done on my mindset, and I'm a certified mindset coach now, I was like, no, Thanksgiving was my actual birthday. So my birthday was November 23rd and fell on Thanksgiving this year. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I was not interested in being in New York. Well, in Staten Island, I should say. I live in, but in Staten Island. And so I told my mom that I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not going to be here. Like, and I did. And so as a recovering people pleaser, it was not necessarily an easy task, because there was a part of me that did feel bad, but I knew that I had to do what was right for me. Okay. And what ended up happening was that my son and my ex-husband, they went to his sister's and had a lovely time. I booked a disco room at the Roxbury Hotel in Roxbury, New York. So I stayed in New York State. And it was amazing. I was under a disco ball. I was by myself. So the first time ever in my 55 years on this planet that I've ever recreationally gone away by myself. And I went away and I stayed in the hotel and I went to dinner and I did things that I wanted to do for me by myself. And it was glorious. It was unbelievably glorious. And even when my brother called me and says, make sure mom has plans or whatever else, and my mom ended up hanging out with another widow friend of hers and they had a lovely day. But it wouldn't have mattered what my mom had done because I needed to do something for me. So I just want to say that, like, as a personal example of what the work does and what it looks like, to actually put yourself first and put the self-care first, and to say, you know what, no, it doesn't have to be, well, we haven't seen them and maybe we should, and blah, blah. If it becomes like that, then don't. Now here's the thing, there may be times when you can't do that, and they're just, you have to do what you have to do, I guess. So in that case, how you perceive what's going to happen is a lot of it. So Kelly talked about expectations. Don't have any. Don't make a story in your head. Don't be like, oh my God, well, this person's going to say this and this person's going to do this and this. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Don't know. You know, even though every year they do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to go in open and see what happens. And so let's just say you were right, right? You're proven right that Uncle Larry, I'm making a name up, you know, does the same stupid stuff that he does all the time. So here's ways that you can deal with Uncle Larry doing the same stupid shit that he does all the time. Number one is, like Kelly was talking about, do breath. Take a breath. I have alarms throughout the day that go off, and that's what you just heard when Kelly was speaking, actually, was my breath alarm. That went off and I forgot to shut off. My breathing alarm that goes off. So normally when that goes off, I stop and I do alternate nostril breathing. But that's a good practice. And even just this holiday season, breathing alarms, I feel like, are a good practice in and of itself, because it takes you back to center. It just takes you back to center. And a good breath work always takes you back to center. But if you're in a place where stupid shit's going on and you just don't want to deal with it, two other things that you can do. So I want to go back to that before I go do that. So I was thinking about the thoughts. So no expectations. So don't tell yourself stories. Don't make up craziness and meanings in your head, because when you do that, you're going to walk in all cranky and miserable and pissed off. Right? If you're open, you just kind of walk in open. And if something happens, so now something happens, Larry says something stupid, you're like, oh, already, you know, there's arguing, whatever. Two things. Number one, I call it the popcorn effect. So they're arguing and whatnot. You don't have to take part in it if you don't want to. And you can just sit there like you're watching a movie. So make it like you're watching a movie and eating popcorn. You know, when you sit and go to a movie theater, you're eating popcorn or candy or what a Mike and Ike's in my case. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you want to be eating when you're watching a movie, sit there and make it like you're watching a movie. Okay. And so this way you're sort of out of it and on the outside looking in. Well, the second thing is change your perspective. And it's an exercise that we do also in my program called Elevator Up. So you're standing there and things are going on around you, and you literally make it like you're going into an elevator and the doors are closing, and you hit the button and you say elevator up. So now you are on the first floor and now you're on the 31st floor. And what's the difference when you're here to here, right? You see things in a different perspective. So if you have to do things that maybe you have an obligation to do, that you can't necessarily get out of, those are the exercises that I would suggest that you do in order to get through them. And I want to also, Kelly was talking about taking time off and recalibrating and rejuvenating. Schools have off between Christmas and New Year's. When I worked in advertising, we had off. A lot of times there is that time off, and we may not be comfortable with that time. I wasn't. You know, I rest. What do you mean rest? What do you mean not do anything? What's that about? You know, we're so used to hustling and we're so used to doing things. I did a Facebook post about this last night. That rest is the new hustle. You don't have to do the hustle. I mean, if you want to do the hustle, dance, cool beans. And now the song is stuck in my head, just saying. But because I work in song lyrics and you know, do the hustle. I work in song lyrics and movie quotes. But anyway, my point being, you can't rest allows for spaciousness, and spaciousness allows for abundance. And when you're hustling and efforting, you're constricted and you're coming from a place of lack. So when you focus on the lack, you get the lack. When you focus on the abundance, you get the abundance. So the rest and recalibration is also an important part of this season as well. And a lot of it is also habit. Well, this is the way it's always been done. I want to point that out too. Like, this is the way it's always been done, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case either if that's not what you want. Because really think about what you feel comfortable with and what you're doing based off of what others think that you should be doing and shoulding. By the way, I've done videos on shoulding. And what you really want. And that's what both Kelly and I dive deeper in our programs, is where, you know, in my program on Screw Yourself, we talk about the limiting beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves and how we talk to ourselves, because that all matters. And we really work on you. You are the cause and the effect, by the way, fun fact. And so, you know, there's a lot more deeper. So really, you have in my course, you have an identity evolution, and we program and we restructure a lot of the old paradigms that have been going on. So I just want you to be aware that it's not just the way it is. You know, that's a bullshit lie that we keep telling ourselves, by the way. and that's why I said I had a lot to say, and I feel like I'm gonna go off on a tangent. So I'm gonna not, I'm gonna reel myself in right now. I hear myself going on. But here's the other thing. The last thing I want to say about this, okay? I feel like, it's been like, oh, if it's bad, here's a fun fact. It can be fun. Okay. The holidays are a joyous time. They are. Think about like if you really seriously sit and think about the miracles of the holidays, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, the freaking candle was the oil was only supposed to last for like 5 minutes and it lasted for 8 nights. The Hanukkah menorah, Christmas and I'm not I'm not Catholic, but like the miracles, if you just think about it, even if you're not religious, the miracles of the holiday season, it's unbelievable. Like it really truly is like a miracle, and there's an abundance of like, oh my God, beauty out there. The lights are amazing. Even just going to see Christmas lights. One of my favorite things to do this time of year, literally, is go to the houses that are lit up for Christmas. So that's another thing that you guys can do. If that's something you feel like you can enjoy, I'm 55 years old. I'm obsessed. There's this house in Staten Island that is like unbelievable. Dyker Heights in Brooklyn, wherever you may live, I'm sure there are Christmas houses with lights on them, or things you can do with lights on them. Like do stuff like that. Like it's a child, because it's childlike too. And you're allowed to have fun and you're allowed to be childlike. So enjoy it in terms of that and just the vast miracles of what the holidays are in fact bringing to us. Because it doesn't always have to be like, oh, it's so bad and this bad connotation. It's not like that. It's not like that all the time either. It's a perception. Again, it's the elevator up, changing your perception of it. And it really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful time of year. And the truth is, it is what you make of it, because we always have a choice. We do. We absolutely have choice. So that is where I'm going to end. And I want to just also end with the fact that I want to wish you all I'm not sure if we're going to do this again, but if we do, I don't mind. I'm going to say a happy holiday season, because that's what I say, because everybody has their own holidays that they celebrate. So I'd like to say, have a happy holiday season.
Thank you, Caren. Those are all great thoughts. And in terms of choice, I'm going to choose to take my popcorn in the elevator with me. I'm going to combine the two experiences.
You do that too.
Yes. It's amazing shifting your perception, and everyone has a different version of the same experience. It is amazing. You talk about just sharing, just telling someone something, how it gets changed if they were to tell somebody and they were to tell somebody and they were to tell somebody. But it also happens within an experience. We're all seeing the world through our own filters, and we are creating our own experience. This is based on science and quantum physics and the understanding of who we are on a whole different level. And so it's not about blaming ourselves, but realizing that we can take responsibility for what we're experiencing. We're creating it. We are causing it, not from a blame standpoint, but in terms of creation and how this works, which means we can create something new. And that's what My Sync with Your Soul program is about, is getting in touch with the truth of who we are, that higher self that is in the elevator with all the popcorn and Mike and Ike's and whatever, and has that higher perspective from a more loving standpoint, that we're all one. And decondition and deprogram. And I take a somatic approach to the mindset work, because I call it body mindset. So where those things are anchored in your physiology, we'll work with those anchors too. So that you can be a new you. But it is an excellent point, many excellent points that you've made about our expectations and taking care of ourselves and the things that we can do in the process. And there are so many things happening at once that we're trying to balance. Some of it's tradition, and it would feel more stressful to not honor the tradition, as stressful as it is to honor it and to fit it in. But we do that out of choice, with an awareness of the effect that that's having on us. And bottom line, how can we create harmony and balance within ourselves so that we're able to have the experience we really want and need to have, the best that we can create that happening, but also are happy and healthy in the end, and not wearing ourselves out and burning ourselves out, people pleasing and having our boundaries trampled and doing things because we should and must, but really because our heart is in it. And yeah, I guess I look forward to more of these chats and to sharing with you in the future. We've not decided definitely that we're going to wait till after the new year before we visit with you again. We don't know at this point, but in the event that I don't see you all again, happy holidays to you and yours from my sacred heart to yours. And I thank you for being here. We look forward to your comments, your questions. Feel free to DM us. We're both open to a pitch-free chat. You'll find our contact information with this video wherever you see it posted. And all I have to say is goodbye for now. Sync with your soul and let your inner light shine.
Bye.
Bye.